Now we need to look at two-factor authentication. This is the second piece of protecting your personal accounts online, okay? And what is it? So think of it like a double lock on your front door. You have your strong password, but you want to make extra sure nobody can get into your account. So sometimes it's called two-step, or it could be called multi-factor authentication. And if you have it set up and you log in from a different location or a different device, you need to prove that it's really you logging into your account. It's most common in banking apps, so you might be familiar with this already. When you go into a banking app, you have to put in your password, your pass number, but then a special verification code as well. And it basically stops someone else trying to sign into your account.
So, Avril, if someone wanted to block your access to your own account or lock you out of it, and they already had your password or they had guessed it, and they click, forget password and get in to change your password, they basically can't do that if you have two-factor authentication set up. Is that right?
That is the best motivation, isn't it? To set up two-factor authentication. If somebody you know has your password and can get into any of your accounts, whatever that is, then the best way to lock them out of your accounts is to set up two-factor authentication. The only way they can get into that account with two-factor authentication set up is if they have access to your email or your phone or your facial ID to get into that account. And so the chances are a lot less.
And is there a way, Avril, to have a backup email? Let's say somebody who's abusive actually has your phone. You have two-factor authentication set up and they demand, access to your phone. Mm-hmm. Is there a backup email or is there another way to get into that should you not have full control?
Absolutely. You can choose yourself how you wish for the two-factor to be set up. So you may decide, you may create a different email address completely and you want the verification codes to be sent to that. And I'll actually show you an example of it, of how to do that in a minute. Yeah. Okay, so we have the motivation now to set up two-factor authentication. And, you do that, like I said, by text or email. A unique code, it's sent to you, or facial recognition as well. It's really easy. And authenticator apps. We're not going to cover authenticator apps in this webinar, but we will do a separate webinar in the future on it for you. Okay, so these are the webinar tutorials, or the tutorials that we have for you, the video tutorials after this webinar that you can check. They're 30, 60 seconds long, how to set up two-factor authentication in all of these. But for the purpose of this webinar, we're actually going to walk you through the Google one, the Snapchat one, and the Facebook one. Okay, so we're going to start on the Google account, and you want to set up two-factor authentication on that. Okay, so the first thing you do is go to, that's your account details there, click on it, manage your account, and then over here you go to security on the left, and down the bottom there you can see signing into Google, and you can see the two-step verification is off. So click that, and now you want to protect it with two-step verification. So get started. So first it wants to know, is it really me? So I'm putting in my password to make sure it's really me. And now they say, okay, what phone number do you want? So I'm putting in a phone number. And you have more options down there as well. You can change that, you see. So I just have to go and take the code that was sent to my phone number and key it in here. And then click next. Turn on two-step. So now I've turned on two-step verification. Now the other thing, and you mentioned this earlier as well, Claire, about another email address. So you can see here, look, it's now on. And up here, you've security recommendations. So protecting my account again, I want to add a recovery email address. So if there's suspicious activity on your account, Google will contact you at this email address and tell you. So someone on another device, they're trying to get in and they can't. So I'm putting in my password here again, and I'm adding another email address as my backup recovery. So you can actually log into your Google account and reclaim everything again using a backup email. So that's a really useful thing to do, to have a backup on your Gmail. And now I have to get the code from that new email address to verify it's a valid email address. And I put that verification code in here. And then Google knows, yes, that is a valid recovery email address. Done. Okay, so that is how to set up two-factor authentication on your Gmail, and I've done that on desktop. The next one that we're going to look at is your Snapchat account, setting up two-factor authentication with your Snapchat account. So quite similar, but just different look and feel. You go to Snapchat, the cog in the wheel up the top right, when you click on that, and then two-factor authentication is what you want. And then you want to continue. It's got a nice little explainer there on what it is, two-factor authentication. So yes, I want to set it up. Okay, so there's, like I said, there's authentication app too, but we're not covering that in this webinar. We're going to go with text. So we're going to set it up. I want a text sent to me. So you can see the Snapchat code there. I'm going to click and continue. And that is, my number is already saved into Snapchat. And now I've got it set up. And save a backup code. So this is a backup code, some are safe that they recommend that you keep. If you can't generate a login code, so say for example, your phone wasn't with you, or there was something wrong with your phone, or just wasn't receiving messages, it's really good to have these codes. They can only be used once, and they're very useful to have. So you can click here, save screenshot. And it will save it for you. Okay, so now that is the Snapchat one set up, and we're just going to show you one further one, which is Facebook. And I had to set up two-factor authentication on the desktop. I couldn't do it on my device, okay? So you have to do that on the desktop. So setting it up on your Facebook account, two-factor authentication. Remember, it might be called something slightly different. So you go over to your account, settings and privacy, go to settings, security login, and you see down there straight away it's two-factor authentication. So enter the code that we sent to your phone by text. So I put the code in that was sent to my phone. And you can see now that two-factor authentication is on. I can add a different phone number. Maybe I have two phones, maybe I have a separate phone. You can actually put in a separate phone in there, and that might be useful for you if you have a personal phone that nobody knows about, or certain people in your home, or certain people close to you are not aware that you have a separate phone. Then this may be useful here to put in a different phone number. You can do this for all of your accounts, depending on your circumstance.
Avril, okay. The tutorials all look, very similar. I suppose the pathway,
yeah,
the pathway, the security settings of the how-to, they look very similar across all the platforms.
They do, Claire. They do. I think the key message here is that, if we don't have the tutorial to show you how to set up two-factor authentication on whatever app you're looking for, our website, the internet is your best friend. And you can go into the internet and just search for something that you just can't find, how to set up two-factor on whatever. You will find it on the internet. It's there for you. And you can see by the settings, you go into settings on every single thing we've done so far, Claire, it's always in settings. And settings is either a cog in the wheel, 3 dots or 3 lines, and you go in there, and then to change your password, you go to passwords within settings. To set up two-factor authentication, it's normally under security within settings, So it's just a matter of being familiar with what you're looking for and what you want to set up and change and how to protect yourself, and then just go to settings and navigate. And if you can't find it, have a look on the internet and search. It has the answers for you.
And I suppose to when you're doing that, to search incognito.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if anyone hasn't seen our previous webinar, It shows you tutorials on how to go in incognito and also how to clear your history. So yes, absolutely, Claire. Okay, so to summarize, the two things to protect your accounts are strong passwords and two-factor authentication. If you do not want someone accessing your accounts, this is really, really important. If it's safe to do so, obviously. Now, maybe you can set up two-factor authentication on the account that you have because someone close to you has access to it. And if you set that up, it may cause alarm bells to go off. And you just don't want anything like that, maybe. So perhaps you may want to set up a separate account that nobody knows about and log in with a strong password and set up two-factor authentication and use it. And then, you know, when you log out of it, then you can log back into your usual account. So that's something to be aware of as well.
Exactly. Just a reminder that if you are experiencing abuse and you need support, please contact your local domestic violence service, the details of which can be found on www.safeireland.ie. Alternatively, you can contact the National Free Phone Helpline on 1-800 341 900. And if you're in danger, please contact the Gardaí on 999.